All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it before it becomes stale, which it won't for a while, and it's not going to not sting for a while because it stings right now as a New York Yankee fan. This is probably the biggest crosstown signing you're ever going to see in New York sports history from a dollar perspective and a revenue perspective and a stock market perspective. It 100% is because Juan Soto just signed the biggest contract in the history of American professional sports. 15 years, $765 million. That's $51 million per season with the New York Mets. After spending one season with the New York Yankees, going to the World Series, arguably being the key factor to why the Yankees did go to the World Series, he is going to Flushing. He's going from the Bronx to Flushing to play with Francisco Lindor and the New York Mets. Where do we want to start? Obviously, it beats Shohei Ohtani's record-setting contract from a season ago by $65 million. You could argue that the Yankees came this close to re-signing him as well. It's come out that Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman offered him a 16-year deal worth $760 million. That would have valued out to about $47 million per year, to the Mets $51 million per year. And that's what it came down to. So let's start there. It was not about culture. It was not about winning. It was not about geography. Obviously, he's moving literally 15 minutes south to Flushing from the Bronx. It wasn't about any of those things. It was about the almighty dollar. And that's what it's always been about, not just for Juan Soto, but for Scott Boras and for everybody in the world, baby. That's capitalism. We lost. The big bad Steinbrenner family lost to the baby brother New York Mets. Steve Cohen's got the deepest pockets in all of baseball, if not all of sports. He could have literally matched the Yankees if the Yankees wanted to offer $800 million, which I don't think they were ever going to go there. The Mets probably would have. It was reported at one time that the Mets could have gone to $800 million. I think Steve Cohen would have signed off on just about anything to get his man. And now over the course of the next 15 years, I should say, Juan Soto has the chance to become the next David Wright, the next Mike Piazza, the next Tom Seaver. He's probably going to exceed all of those expectations. He's going to hit more home runs than Pete Alonso ever hit in a Mets uniform. He's going to be the guy. Him and Francisco Lindor, that 1-2 punch, they are going to be co-wingmen for the next decade in New York. And talking about wingmen, I mean, I'm trying to think back. Jeter and A-Rod, I guess, and they never got along, so I don't even think that counts as two guys in the heart of the order for the Yankees. Was really great. I mean, there was David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez back in the day. They were great wingmen for each other. Aaron Judge, and I can say this confidently, has lost the greatest wingman that he's ever going to have in a New York Yankee uniform over the next decade. There's going to be nobody like Juan Soto. Nobody on the market in the next 10 to 15 years is going to eclipse what Juan Soto has done through 26 years of age in the major leagues versus what he's going to do in the next 15 years with the New York Mets. They lost out on, obviously, just a dream soulmate for Aaron Judge, that 2-3 part of the order, that 1-2 punch that the Yankees could have had for the next, 10 years or so. It stings. It definitely stings. I think it's salvageable. I think the Yankees, I have a ton of Yankee fans I reached out to. Juan Soto is a Met. What's next? They're saying it's over. Like literally, that verbatim, it's over. I don't think it's over. I think we can fix this. I think it's salvageable if you just listen with me and stay on course here. Obviously, we're not going to find anybody like Juan Soto. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge in the middle of that Yankees lineup for the next 5, 10, 15 years. Yes, that would have made them the AL favorites, presumably for the next 5 to 10 years. They're not going to be now. Luckily for the Yankees, the American League is very, very weak right now. I'm not just talking the AL East. I'm talking everybody. The Central's obviously weak. The Yankees just steamrolled past them in the playoffs. The West is weak. The Astros are still going to be competitive, but they just came off a pretty lackluster year. Outside of Baltimore, no team is really that strong in the AL East. The Red Sox aren't coming out of the gate strong after offering $700+ million to Juan Soto. The Blue Jays, I don't know exactly what they offered Juan Soto, but it was probably north of 730, if not more. Maybe even they matched the Yankees. I don't know. I don't think they were a strong contender unless they went above and beyond that 765 that obviously Steve Cohen inked Juan Soto for. But there's nobody that impressive. I think the Orioles are the team to beat in the AL East next year if you're the Yankees. And now that you have shown that you are willing to spend over $760 million for one player, I think it's time to get aggressive, man. I think this is where you bring out the ghost of George Steinbrenner and you become that heavy hunter over the next 3 to 4 days in Dallas at the MLB Winter Meetings in 2024. I'm talking Teoscar Hernandez. I'm talking Anthony Santander. Not even Teoscar Hernandez or Anthony Santander, maybe even both. Teoscar Hernandez has proven to be a great opposite field hitter. You got the short porch in right field. He killed the Yankees with the Dodgers in the World Series. Anthony Santander, obviously left-handed bat, tailor-made swing for Yankee Stadium. You know he'll hit 30-plus home runs. The problem with both those guys is the strikeout total. We already have a million fucking strikeout guys. But there's a lot of holes that the Yankees need to fix, and I think it's time to be ultra aggressive. Be the team that just lost out on the heart and soul of your next 15 years. No disrespect, no knock on Aaron Judge. He's the captain. He's the heart and soul of the Yankees. But without Juan Soto, there's a lot of holes to fix, right? So I think Teoscar Hernandez has to be on the board. I think Anthony Santander has to be on the board. I think you have to sign Max Fried. I think you have to look at Walker Buehler. I think you have to look at Burns. I think you have to go all in. And it's not just like, oh, maybe this guy or this guy. Get them all. Run the table. I think you have to go all in if you're the Yankees to prove to your fan base that it's just like, well, we had the 1 year, we lost out on him, we put all our marbles and all of our chips in, we went all in on this guy, and he didn't want to be a Yankee for just an extra $5 million. So be it, It's kind of one of those attitudes where you just got to be like, fuck him. This is back to the original script, back to Aaron Judge, back to Aaron Cole, back to Aaron Judge, back to Garrett Cole. Hopefully, Giancarlo Stanton stays healthy and continues to ride off of the monster October that he had. You got to replace some guys. You re-signed Gleyber Torres at this point. I don't know if he's going to be worth the money. There's a lot of holes that the Yankees got to fix, but I think you start by fixing that right field hole with either Teoscar Hernandez or Anthony Santander, or both, because yes, you're losing Gleyber Torres. You're also losing Alex Verdugo. You're losing Clay Holmes. You're losing a lot of pieces. They got to strengthen the rotation. They got to strengthen the bullpen. They got to strengthen their offense, because outside of Juan Soto and Aaron Judge last summer, nobody hit. So what do? Do you go all in on these guys that may or may not work out to be big deals, given that you know you're willing to spend the money now? Or do you go from within? I interviewed a kid by the name of Caleb Durbin a few years ago in Somerset. He would be a great second baseman if the Yankees gave him the shot. Jason Dominguez, obviously the top prospect in the Yankees organization. Didn't perform well late in September last year for the Yankees, but he could be, potentially that left-handed bat that replaces Juan Soto, and maybe you take a chance on him. I don't want to say it's going to be a rebuild year, because I think the Yankees have to compete after going to the World Series last year. The fan base is hungry, man. And the way it ended in Game 5 after that fifth inning, and the way that game ended, it just puts a sour taste in everybody's mouth that you didn't re-sign literally the biggest free agent in all of sports. So you have to go all in. Or do you rely on the Baby Bombers? Baby Bombers 2.0. Remember in 2017 with Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez and Greg Bird and Luis Severino? Maybe you surround Aaron Judge with a bunch of Baby Bombers like Caleb Durbin and Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones. Why not? The rotation's got to be good, but maybe on the offensive side, you don't really spend a ton of money. You wait for years to come, and then you put the faith and your backing into the Dominguezes, into the Spencer Joneses, into the Caleb Durbins. I don't know. But yeah, I will say Aaron Judge lost arguably the greatest wingman he will ever have. David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez, Derek Jeter and A-Rod, David Wright and Piazza back in the day. Throw Jose Reyes and Wright back in that day. You had Miguel Cabrera and Prince Fielder at one point. They were a great duo. I don't think that there would be a greater duo in baseball than Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. We got 1 year of it. They went to the World Series. They hit a combined, They hit a combined 99 home runs between two guys. You can't really replace that. I think the Mets are going to be very optimistic for years to come. They have a guy that could potentially be, and maybe this is what it came down to for Juan Soto, because we're talking about $5 million. The Yankees gave him an extra year, 16 years at 760, which would have put him at 47 million valued per year, versus what the Mets gave him, which was 15 years, 765, which you could value at $51 million per year. It came down to $4 million. So it was about the money. It wasn't about anything else. But maybe, just maybe, it was about the fact that Juan Soto, despite how good he would ever been in the Bronx, he was never going to be the man. Aaron Judge was the man. He's the captain. He's the face of the franchise. Maybe Juan Soto wants to be the highest paid player in sports while also becoming the face of a franchise that is in desperation of a World Series title. The Mets haven't won to this point in 39 years. I've asked a Met fan already, my buddy Jake, if how many World Series will it justify the Mets signing this 15-year, $765 million deal? One World Series. That's all it's going to take to justify this deal for the Mets and Steve Cohen. Bring a World Series back to Flushing. Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling's team were the last ones to do it, man. I'll throw Gary Carter in there, the late, great Gary Carter, too, was a key player in that Mets World Series. 1986, and they weren't even supposed to win that World Series. The Red Sox just screwed it up. So the Mets have an opportunity now in the next decade with Lindor and with Juan Soto and with great pitching pieces to become a mainstay in the NL East. They're still not the favorites. I think the Phillies and the Braves at full health give the Mets a run for their money. So that's another thing that interests me about this Juan Soto deal, is that you're going to be competitive. You are going to be competitive for the next decade in an NL East that is star-studded. The Phillies are great. The Atlanta Braves at full health are a great and very dangerous team. They won the World Series just 3 years ago. The Phillies went to the World Series 2 years ago. The Mets went on a great run in 2024, fell short to the Dodgers. The Dodgers is going to be a team that you're going to run into probably every postseason for the next decade. The NL is going to be tough, man. Where the AL is very weak, and I think Juan Soto would have had guaranteed at least a few World Series appearances if he was in that lineup with Aaron Judge and taking $760 million, $47 million valued annually from the New York Yankees. But that's neither here nor there. Congratulations to Scott Boras, who, in my opinion, is the greatest agent in all of sports. He's the greatest agent in the biz. He has come through, even though there's been moments where some of his clients really didn't reap the benefits of waiting. And you saw it in past years. Matt Chapman really got snubbed a few years back, but then he made the money back big time just a few years ago. He has proven time in and time again that he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. He got Garrett Cole the big contract. He got Aaron Judge the big contract. And now he's getting Juan Soto the big contract. It just isn't with the team that the New York Yankees fans wanted it to be with. But congratulations to Juan Soto. 15 years, $760 million to the New York Mets. We will probably be talking about this for days to come. What's the Yankees' alternative move? I think Anthony Santander, left-handed bat, makes most sense. He's a big strikeout guy. Max Fried, I think, is someone that you have to sign, especially if your only competition for Max Fried is the Boston fucking Red Sox. You have to sign Max Fried. Strengthen the rotation. And again, I mean, the offense is a big question mark. It literally is Aaron Judge and everybody else. Gleyber Torres ain't coming back. Juan Soto officially ain't coming back. Austin Wells is a huge question mark despite finishing third in the AL Rookie of the Year voting behind Colin Cowser and Luis Heel. Who else do you really have? Jazz Chisholm's under contract for 2 more seasons. Jason Dominguez, like I mentioned, Spencer Jones, Caleb Durbin you could call up. You don't have many pieces. Ben Rice, you're not bringing back Anthony Rizzo. I mean, you put all your chips in on Juan Soto. You could do whatever you want now. Maybe you bring back Gleyber. Maybe you bring back Anthony Rizzo. Maybe you bring in Christian Walker. I've said it in the past. I like Christian Walker. Gold Glove first baseman from the Arizona Diamondbacks, has a ton of pop. Would his swing be tailor-made for Yankee Stadium? I don't know. He's got great oppo power. Nobody's replacing Juan Soto. We're not going to kid ourselves. It's a dark night in Yankee land. We woke up on Christmas morning and there was just coal underneath the Christmas tree. Juan Soto signed with the New York Mets. Probably the biggest signing in Mets history. From a dollar perspective, it's the biggest signing in American professional sports history. So there's a lot of holes to fix. I'm optimistic. The AL is weak. The NL is insanely strong. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Mets, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Atlanta Braves. Who am I missing? The Central is never really insanely strong in either league, unfortunately. The NL West, you got the Dodgers, the Padres are going to be good, I think, for the next few years. It's going to be a fun time in the NL, especially come October next year. The AL, we'll see what happens, but I think the Yankees are going to be very aggressive here in the next few days. We'll wait for the next few days to happen. I'm predicting a Max Fried signing over the next 3 days. I'm predicting a potential either Teoscar Hernandez or Anthony Santander signing in the next few days. Yankee fans, remain hopeful. It is the season of faith. Jesus' birthday coming up on the 25th. You got to remain hopeful.